لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد خاتم النبيين وإمام المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في القرآن المجيد والفرقان الحميد: أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. وقال جل جلاله: يوم لا ينفع مال ولا بنون إلا من أتى الله بقلب سليم. وقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم: إنما الأعمال بالنيات. Today, insha'Allah ta'ala, we will be speaking about a topic which is so prevalent and so important to talk about. And the things that we will mention are not things that are unknown to mankind. However, the diseases, the issues that we will mention are so common amongst mankind that we have to remind again and again and again, as is the sunnah and the practice of our Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And now, what is this topic? We will call this diseases of the heart. Now, we all know that we have the organ, the heart. You know, the heart that beats, the thing that keeps us alive. If our heart stops beating, what will happen? We will die, right? Now, this is not the heart that I am talking about, no. Whilst, of course, this heart, the organ, the heart is extremely vital to keep us alive, we have something which is arguably even more important: the spiritual heart. You see, the heart that beats is the one that keeps us alive in this world, on the planet Earth. However, after you do pass away, what matters then? I can tell you for sure, it is not the heart that was beating. Indeed, it is only the spiritual heart. And one of the verses we just mentioned before, يَوْمَ لَا يَنْفَعُ مَالٌ وَلَا بَنُونَ, referring to the day of judgment, the day where all of mankind has to answer for their deeds, a day where your wealth and your children will be of no benefit to you. Zero benefit. In this world, we can ransom with wealth. Okay? If I am really in desperate need of something, and unfortunately this happens in countries around the world, you know, bribery, you can offer someone some extra money, and this works, right? If you need something. However, on the day of judgment, none of this will work. You are no longer dealing with humans. You are now dealing with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Lord of the worlds. You cannot ransom with children. You cannot ransom with your wealth. But what can and what does matter? Two things: the spiritual heart and your good deeds. In this world, our currency, or in English shall we say, is Great British Pounds, right? Pounds. That is the currency that we need to buy things. Okay? However, after we have passed away in our grave, what is our currency then? Absolutely not pounds. Then, the only currency that we have, and the only currency that actually matters, is what? Is your good deeds. Your heart, the state of your heart, the purity of your heart is directly linked with the good deeds that you do. You will not see somebody with a corrupted heart, with a dirty heart, who spends their life reading the Quran, who spends their life praying 5 times a day, waking up in the middle of the night, giving charity. These two things go hand in hand. You cannot have a corrupted heart and do lots and lots of good deeds. However, a sign of having a pure heart is that you love to do good deeds, and you do good deeds. However, the topic that I will mention today for the next few minutes is a couple of diseases of the heart which are very common. And our scholars of the past have written literal volumes on the diseases of the heart. The first one that we will mention is what? Kibr, arrogance. Now, we have the obvious type of arrogance. You know that type of person who walks around, who boasts, who shows off, and you can often sense that they are an arrogant person. This is one type of arrogance, and this is the most obvious type of arrogance. However, you have to be careful here. This is not the only type of arrogance. We know from Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam that the one who has even a seed's worth of arrogance within their heart will not enter Jannah. And I remember somebody telling me this, and I would like to share this with you. There is a reason for why arrogance is forbidden in Islam. You know the size of the earth, the diameter of the earth is just under 13,000 kilometers. Okay, huge, right? 13,000 kilometers. Now, we have galaxies which are light years away. And if you're wondering what is a light year? A light year in kilometers is around 9 trillion kilometers. None of us can ever travel a light year on this earth. Okay? And we have galaxies which are trillions of light years away. Now, why on earth am I mentioning this to you? What is the point of me mentioning the size of the earth and the size of light years? And imagine this. If one light year is 9 trillion kilometers, and there are galaxies that we know of, and there are galaxies that we don't know of as well, but galaxies that we know of, which are trillions of light years away, and we are only 13,000 kilometers, and we are just a small dot within this 13,000 kilometer earth. Really, how irrelevant are we? How small are we before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Yet we strut around thinking, look at all the money I have, look at all the beauty I have, look at the house I have, look at the car I have, look at the ability I have, look at the knowledge I have. In the grand scheme of things, we are nothing before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And as I mentioned, we said that there are galaxies which are trillions of light years away. These are ones that we know of. Imagine the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we don't know of. How as human beings, how as the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can we walk on this earth thinking that we have knowledge, thinking that we have power? We have no power. We have no knowledge. And you know a secret for, if you want to increase in knowledge, the real secret in Islam is not to claim that you have knowledge, it's to actually claim that you don't have knowledge. Once you are able to really humble yourself and understand that, as we mentioned, in the grand scheme of things, we are absolutely nothing before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Once you can understand this fact, you will have and you will feel rich. Allah will bless you with lots of knowledge. Allah will bless you with lots of wealth. Once you claim that you have no knowledge and you have no wealth before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Arrogance does not just mean walking around the earth, strutting, thinking, look at me, no. You can be arrogant within your mind. Once you claim that you are better or you have a little bit more knowledge than this other person, if I was to come up here and say, look at all of you, look at me, I'm the speaker here today, none of you have the microphone, I'm the one speaking today. Now imagine I did this, or imagine I thought this. We do this without even knowing it. That is arrogance. That is showing off. One of the biggest diseases of the Ummah today. Why? The mobile phone, social media. We love to share our blessings on social media. Now, social media, I'm not discounting it completely, no. However, many of us have children, many of us here are young as well. Okay? Nearly all of us use social media. And I would like to argue all of us use social media. This is the cause of many of the diseases of the heart, which links to the second one that I'm about to mention, envy. Now, none of us here would claim that, would do shirk. Now what is shirk? Claiming that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a partner. I know none of us here would say Allah has a son, Allah has a partner, there is another God. None of us here would do that. I know that for certainty. However, shirk claiming partners to Allah is not just obvious. It's not just verbal. There is something called shirkul khafi, a hidden shirk. Now, you may see this other person on social media or in real life who has a lot more money than you, who is arguably better looking than you, who has a nicer house than you, who has a nicer car than you. And what thoughts run through our mind then? I work 12 hours a day. This person has more money than me, but they only work 4 hours a day. How is this fair? These thoughts naturally run through human beings. This is an example of questioning your Lord. Do you understand how great a sin that is to do? How massive a sin that is to do? To question your Lord. Why has Allah blessed this person with more wealth than me? Now, we are limited in our minds. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created our minds. We do not have any ability to know what is good for us and what is bad for us. Who are we to question Allah? We are no one. As we were mentioning before, we are so small. Our intellects are limited. How can we question what blessings we have and what blessings we don't have? Imagine you are given £1 million today. Can we all really claim that after having £1 million in our bank accounts that we would be the same person? Can we claim that? Many of us, wealth changes us. Many of us, wealth destroys us. Can any of us claim that we know what is good for us? None of us can. And if you do, you are absolutely incorrect. And you are arrogant. And that's a disease within your heart. You may have a blessing that you would like to have. You may see someone that has a blessing that you would like to have. It may destroy you. You may have a blessing that somebody else doesn't have. If that person had the blessing that you had, it would destroy them. Do not question the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The moment you feel envy, seek refuge from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because that moment when you start to think about other people's blessings, which exactly is the issue with social media, where people post the perfect image of their lives, right? And you start to feel jealous and you start to feel envious. You know what the issue is with that? You start, without knowing it, you start to question Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's will. And that is shirkul khafi. Hidden shirk. Because you are questioning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You are questioning Him. Your Lord. The one who created you and me. The one who created the entire universe. You are questioning Him. And that is a means of destroying all of your good deeds. So be careful. Seek refuge from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the last and one of the worst actually deeds and diseases rather that we commit on a day-to-day basis, multiple times a day. Some people here, the first two that I mentioned, arrogance and envy, some people naturally think this does not apply to me. You know, I don't think I'm better than other people. And I am happy with what I have. I don't tend to think about other people's blessings. I'm thankful for what I have, alhamdulillah. This last one, I guarantee you, all of us here have done. I know what is this last disease that I will mention. Backbiting. What is backbiting? Backbiting in Islam, as is the definition in Islam, is mentioning the qualities of your brother or your sister that you know that they would not like you to mention. Now, backbiting can be true. Now, what do I mean by this? Let's say I know a brother here, I know a few brothers here. Let's say I pick you up and you actually are an annoying person or an angry person. Let's use angry. You're an angry person. I go home and I tell my mum and dad, I say, you know, this person that I met today, he's so angry. He's always angry. This fact could be true. This person could always be angry. This is still backbiting. Even if it is true, the moment you start to mention negative characteristics, this is backbiting. Now, what is the issue with backbiting? Our Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said and mentioned the severity of this deed. Would you like to eat the flesh of your dead brother? Would any of us, we all have relatives or people that we know have passed away. Would you go and would you like to eat them up? Is that what you would like to do? This is what backbiting does. And not only does this do that, it goes even further, it's even worse. I could spend my entire life in worship to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I could be praying 5 times a day. I could be waking up in the middle of the night to worship Allah. I could be giving lots of charity. I could be reading 1 juz of the Quran every single day. I could be what is deemed as a good Muslim. The moment I let my tongue loose, all of your good deeds, it's like a lightning bolt, struck away. You have lost so many good deeds, if not all of your good deeds, just because you couldn't control your tongue. You started talking about your brother, all of those good deeds that you amassed throughout your life, lost, gone. What is the significance of that? As we said at the beginning, after you pass away, what is your currency? It is not Great British pounds anymore. It is your good deeds. You want to bargain with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the Day of Judgment? You have to have good deeds. If you have lost all your good deeds because you've started talking about somebody else, how can you expect to enter Jannah? You're going to have piles of bad deeds and you have lost all of your good deeds and passed them on to somebody else. The person that you spoke about, you have given them your good deeds. So now you have a ton of bad deeds and no good deeds. How can you expect to enter Jannah? And yet this is something that we do every single day, multiple times a day. And as we mentioned, backbiting is talking about something which is true. Now imagine we start to talk about something which isn't true about someone, gossiping, which it also happens. When we start talking about someone, we start talking about, possibilities, this person, what are they doing in their life? I think they're hiding money. I think they're in a haram relationship. Now, what if you said something about someone else which isn't true? If you've lost your good deeds, backbiting, to doing, when you mention something which is true about someone, what is the punishment for saying something which isn't true about someone? That we haven't been told. But of course, you can imagine, this is called slander. You can imagine the weight and the enormity of such a sin like slandering on the Day of Judgment. You can imagine. If I've lost my good deeds to backbiting, imagine slandering. Control your tongue. Don't we all want to enter Jannah? Don't we all want to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? The average lifespan here, 73 years. I checked it off Google, so correct me if I'm wrong. Regardless, Day of Judgment. How long is the Day of Judgment? 50,000 years long. And how long is Jannah and Jahannam, paradise and hellfire? Eternity. Now imagine, because I was arrogant, because I was envious, because I could not control my tongue and I would backbite, what have I gained? Rather, what have I lost? I have lost my ticket into Jannah. Because I couldn't control myself for however long I live, an average lifespan, as we said, 73 years, now I have to suffer for a day which is 50,000 years. A day where I have to stand before my Lord, Rabbi subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, your Lord and my Lord. And I have to explain to him every single deed that I did. Do you really want to stand before your Lord with a heart which is dirty? Do you want to stand before your Lord with no good deeds? Is that what we want? We don't. We all want to enter Jannah, right? Eternal pleasure, eternal happiness. Well, we don't act like it. When I walk out, I know people will come to me complaining about this person, that person. You're losing good deeds. It is one thing to say, I want to enter Jannah. It is another thing to act like you want to enter Jannah. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us amongst those who actually do the deeds and act like they want to enter Jannah. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us from the diseases of the heart. For verily, the heart which is corrupted, filled with dirt, filled with diseases, that is the person who is a true loser. And the true winner is the one who is successful in purified their heart. قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا. Successful is the one who has purified their heart. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us amongst those who have purified hearts and who do the deeds which equate to having a purified heart. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين سيدنا محمد خاتم النبيين وإمام المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد، قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في القرآن المجيد وفي القرآن الحميد: أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم، بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم، وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما باركت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم ارحم أبا بكر التقي وعمر النقي وعثمان الذكي وعلي الوفي أسد الله المرتضى والسيدة الخديجة الكبرى وعائشة الصديقة الحميرى وفاطمة الزهراء بنت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم وسائر الصحابة والتابعين أجمعين. اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات. اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين. اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين. اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين. اللهم انصر الإسلام والمسلمين. اللهم ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. عباد الله، إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. اذكروا الله العظيم يذكركم واشكروه يزدكم واستغفروه يغفر لكم وادعوه يستجب لكم واتقوه يجعل لكم من أمركم مخرجا. وأقم الصلاة. الله الله الله